Sobrang di ko pa mapaniwala. Maraming salamat sa suporta at sana patuloy yung suporta niyo.
Come after a devastating loss and stunned her parents, all while commemorating her incredible breakthrough within the top 50. Welcome back to golf. Vision Tennis is the best resource, seeking the purest, most authentic, and most thrilling tales from the realm of professional tennis player. These days, we're not discussing backhands, forehands, or drawings for tournaments. We are discussing a moment that was so unplanned, so pure, and so incredibly touching that it prevented all of the ASB Classics tracks and caused a stir on social media globally. Racket smashes have been witnessed. That inflamed the umpire and shook stadiums' arguments that dominated media coverage for weeks, and tears of destruction pouring down the champions' faces. However, this was a very different moment. Distinct. What took place in Auckland? This week in New Zealand was something. Otherwise, it was a whole moment that reminded all of the people in that crowded stadium and the millions of people worldwide are observing why we were enamored with this stunning, first of all, sport. Tennis isn't only about awards, prizes, cash, or glory. It focuses on human narratives behind each and every point scored. The plot revolves around tennis in the Philippines. Alexandra, the queen and national treasure Eala, and comes after a horribly tragic loss in the semi-finals that had the country is holding its breath. However, more than that, it has an unexpected kiss cam. Situation 2, totally unprepared. Parents, and an 11-word yell from center court that sent the full stadium into a group that could likely be heard throughout Manila. If you believe you are familiar with Alex Eala as the tough rival who fights with weight, with a warrior's zeal on the court, until you perceive her as a daughter, a family-focused young lady who recognizes that success is never accomplished by oneself. Furthermore, on top of all, we're dissecting the enormous, shocking information that is now upending the tennis world and creating a record for the Philippines. Alex Eala has formally into the prestigious WTA Top 50, achieving a career-high ranking that puts her in among the top players in the world. In this in-depth analysis, we dissect each facet of her extraordinary adventure. From the thrilling semifinal matchup with Wang Senu, a rising star in China, to the consequences of historical rankings that could alter the course of her entire career, and the poignant history of the Eala family, who made sacrifices everything needed to create a champion from the ground up. This is a thorough examination at one of the most heartfelt and important moments in the history of tennis, the past. So, take a seat and get cozy. Prior to discussing the viral moment that has everyone from casual talking about hardening tennis veterans and posting videos on every social media platform that is conceivable, we must establish the scene appropriately. Imagine the scenario: Auckland's 2026 ASB Classic, the semi-finals and stakes in New Zealand that is unbelievably high. A collision of Asian tennis greats, with the whole observing the tennis world. The tennis community had been giddy with excitement, for several days before to the first, the ball was even hit. On one side of the Chinese dragon was rising in the net Wang Senu, who had been participating in tennis lights-off throughout the duration of the competition. Using the combative, flat-hitting fashion of Lena, her idol, the former grandee slam winner who rose to international prominence superstar. Strong, tall, and Wang hit with a deadly tempo, the ball with enough force to tear the racket from an unprepared rival's hands, destroying opponents on her traveling to the semifinals, and showing up with incredible momentum and confidence. Regarding the pride of the other side of the internet, was the Philippines, the cunning left-handed Alexandra Eala is a sensation. At only 20 years old, barely past adolescence years, Eala went into the competition with a fire in her eyes that hasn't appeared since her impressive victory at the Junior U.S. Open. When she initially declared herself to the realm of tennis, Ella Alexander wasn't in Auckland merely to take part or raise the figures. She was present to dominate, to demonstrate her place among the best, and to maintain her rapid climb the rankings. From the very beginning, first of all, the game was an unbelievable conflict. Not merely Heil tennis, but an intense mental and physical chess contest that was played at maximum speed, with both players exerting mental and physical effort to the greatest extent possible. The first set turned into a master class in contemporary baseline aggressiveness and strategic acumen. As Ella let loose the evil left-handed, she mastered the spin at the fabled Rafa Morca's Nadal Academy, compelling Wong deep into the corners with a bulky top spin, producing seemingly unattainable angles, and then precisely firing a laser winners in the future. However, Wong Senu was not far from it, no pushover. A validated fighter who forced her way into the world's top 40 through unwavering determination and ability. She took in Eala's attack, rerouted the crushing speed, and returned the favor. The two fighters exchanged serve breaks like heavyweight boxers, trading vicious uppercuts in the rounds of the championship. Momentum swinging like a pendulum back and forth, neither of them being able to take complete command. As the conflict grew more intense, the once muted audience started to understand precisely what was happening in front of them. What all of a sudden Alex had been planning emerged as a wave of laughter, started at a particular area of the stands and spread, like wildfire across the stadium, quickly changing into a booming surge of joy and praise. The chanting then started out softly, but rapidly increasing in volume and intensity. Kiss, kiss, kiss. The whole arena joined in, rhythmically clapping and chanting together, pleading with Mike and Riza to satisfy the demands of the audience. Riza Manago, a former Southeast bronze and medals from the Asian Games swimmer who had participated in the most levels under extreme strain, turned her palms were flushed red with shame, fluttering in her face as she erupted into chuckles. The kind of sincere laugh that arises from being completely astounded, yet adoring every moment of it. Mike Eala, typically the calm, stoic tennis father who, having seen innumerable games, finally, without displaying much emotion, shattered, his somber exterior disintegrating into a broad, sincere smile that glowed his whole face. T was the type of grin that fully reaches the eyeballs, changes a person. Next, with the whole stadium observing, yelling, and using their phones to record, they provided the folks precisely what they desired, but not in the manner that everyone anticipated. Rather than the standard Hollywood kiss the camera typically records, they shared something much more significant and authentic. They turned to face one another. They hugged tightly for a long time, clinging with a force that spoke volumes about their shared adventure. Years of sacrifice were carried in that hug. Many early mornings, costly, lonely nights, and intercontinental flights separated during their daughter's training on a different continent. Stress related to money and steadfast faith. It was a silent message stating, "We succeeded. Against despite all the odds, we are together and here. And have a look at our daughters accomplished." The stadium erupted once, more, even louder this time, a tidal sound that appeared to sweep over everyone in attendance. However, the real tear-inducing, the instant that even the hardest and most pessimistic observers was unavoidable and still to come. The truly heartbreaking, The moment that had even seasoned sports reporters wiping next were their eyes, as her parents. The enormous screen above was filled with embrace. Alexa stood by herself in the middle of the court. Court with 15,000 seats surrounding it, and brushed away a tear that was trickling down her cheek. However, these weren't tears of loss in the semifinals, nor of annoyance or dissatisfaction with her performance. They were tears of thankfulness, affection, and overpowering acknowledgement of all that her family possessed made a sacrifice to get her to this precise moment. She raised both of her hands over her head, extended them upward, and created an ideal heart with her fingers, a universal representation of affection that surpasses both language and culture. Next, at the top of her lungs, using all of her genuineness and feeling she could. Then, she yelled the 11 words that became viral right away, sweeping throughout each social media network and becoming shared by everyone millions of times. From casual tennis enthusiasts to competitors and beyond, she yelled the words with raw, unadulterated feeling. Dad, Mom, and I adore you. This is for you both. Simply 11 easy-to-understand terms that on the surface may not appear remarkable. However, at that very moment, following a cruel, draining defeat thousands of miles away from home, with the aspirations of a country with over 100 million of people rely on her youth shoulders, those words had a profound impact. They condensed years of selflessness, battle, and conviction into a single moment of true human feeling. The stadium did not react in a courteous manner. Cheers. It melted. Excuse sports fans. Those who believed they had witnessed everything were blinking back tears abruptly, as a cohesive group that reverberated so loudly that might have appeared on seismographs in Wellington is over 300 meters away. In the stands, strangers embraced. Grown men briefly wiped their eyes. Moment. Sport went beyond rivalry, reminding everyone of our intense concern initially. Tea was a strong reminder that, behind each athlete, we observe, behind each ranking point and each check for prize. Money has a family, a network of support that seldom receives the limelight. Parents make sacrifices their own aspirations in order for their kids to chase theirs, motivated by unwavering love. However, that hug and heart sign were gaining popularity and becoming viral on Alex Eala's social media. The court performance was subdued, rewriting the history of Philippine sports. The most recent WTA rankings were published this morning, verified the groundbreaking news. Eala has successfully mastered the top level of women's professional tennis, reaching a world career high number 49. Take a moment to process that. Top 50, formerly among the top 50 worldwide female tennis players. For the increase from 53 to 49 for casual fans may appear insignificant, just 4 spots. But for anyone who is aware of the professional tennis ecosystem, reaching the top 50 is a fantastic ticket. It alters every aspect of a player's professional path and opens doors that had been locked before. Moreover, throughout, with the whole stadium observing, chanting, and documenting on her parents, gave the crowd their phones, precisely what they desired. Unusual Hollywood-style kiss, but something different, more significant. A close-knit, emotional embrace that said a lot about years of love, sacrifice, and tenacity. That hug's intensity said a lot about their trip together. It was after years of sacrifice, numerous early mornings, costly, lonely nights, and intercontinental flights, while her daughter is receiving training on another continent, financial hardship, and steadfast faith. Not a single. Despite everything, it said, "We made it." Odds, we're here. We're all together. Moreover, take a look at what our daughter has completed. Once more, the stadium erupted, even louder this time, a sound wave that appeared to affect everyone in the present. However, the true heartbreaker, the time that had even the most difficult, most sports journalists who are pessimistic and wiping there were still eyes to come. As her parents hugged on the enormous screen above, Alexandra Eala was by herself in the middle of the enormous court, encircled by 15,000 seats, and dabbed at a tear moving down her cheek. However, this is the important thing. She didn't weep, because that semifinal match had been lost by her. Those weren't disappointed tears, annoyance, or rage. These weren't tears of dissatisfaction, annoyance, or rage over her performance. They were really different. Ella Alexandra sobbed because she felt overpowered by appreciation, affection, and acknowledgement of everything her family had done to provide her right now. She lifted both hands raised above her head, extending upward and creating a flawless heart with her fingers, that universal representation of transcendent love, both culture and language. Next, at the top of her lungs, using all of her honesty and feeling she was able to muster, she yelled the 11 words that immediately went viral on all social media platforms. Platform that has been shared millions of times by casual admirers, competitors, and even celebs who are not tennis fans. She cried out, "I love you, Mom and Dad. This is for the two of you." Just 11 straightforward words, however. At that very moment, following a terrible and draining loss, thousands of miles away from home, hoping to 100 million people rely on her youth shoulders, they held great significance. Years of effort, were condensed into a brief moment of unadulterated human feeling. The crowd did more than just cheer. It melted courteously. Hardened athletics fans blinked away their tears. Single collective. Well, it was probably so noisy. Recorded on Wellington seismographs more than 300 meters distant. Strangers gave each other hugs in the stands. Adult males cleaned their eyes. It was one of those rare transcendent moments in sports that reminds us of the reasons behind our intense concern. Additionally, it was a potent reminder that behind every ranking, every athlete we watch point, every prize check, there is a family, a network of support that seldom gains attention, parents who give up sacrifice own aspirations in order for their kids to pursue theirs, and love without conditions. Now, it's time to pivot from the truly historical, to the sentimental. Now, let's pivot from the truly historical, to the sentimental. Although that embrace and heart symbol were gaining popularity on social media and winning hearts media, Alexandra Eala's appearance on the court was quietly rewriting real-time sports history in the Philippines. The historic announcement was formally verified this morning using the most recent WTA rankings. Ella has risen to a world number 49, a career high, cracking the top level of women's professional tennis. Top 50. Read that again and let it sink in. She is now formally a member of the top 50 female tennis players on the planet. For the casual fan, the leap from 53 to 49 may seem insignificant, but only 4 locations. But for those who comprehend the harsh environment of professional in tennis, ranking in the top 50 is the golden ticket. It changes a player's career overnight, creating opportunities that were previously secured. Beyond the top 100, players persevere through the qualifying tournaments, often playing 3 matches merely to get to the main draw, contending outside. Courts without any cameras, no throng, and no focus, fighting for scraps of points and prize money. However, when you get into the top 50, everything is altered. Automatic access to primary drawings, direct entry to esteemed WTA 1000 competitions, acknowledgement as a genuine star by competition organizers, sharp rises in reward money, as well as support chances for big companies. Respect from other players shifts, solidifying your status at the very top of the sport. Additionally, as we examine the Manuka, there's still one question, Dr. Arena. Who will come next? While we look through the Manuka arena, Doctor, who is going to come next? Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Dela. Thus, assistants. Yes,